Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori. Thank you for being here. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mars retrograde that we have coming up, as well as give you guys a free gift. So the gift is actually a Mars retrograde worksheet that I created. You can download it for free on my website. I will say download it now, because before the next Mars retrograde I am actually going to charge for it. It's not going to be like a ton, but still, right now it's free, so please take advantage of it and go and download it now. So first of all, what is Mars retrograde? What does that really mean? So Mars in our charts is our motivation, it's our drive, it's our fight response, it's advocacy, it's passion. So it really is our energy center in our charts. And so when Mars is in the sky moving through different places, it kind of low-key charges us wherever it is. So if you're having a Mars return, you are probably getting a very potent charge. If you're having a Mars opposition, there might be some contending energies going on that you might also be feeling. But whatever sign it's in, that's kind of the light that Mars is shining through. So if Mars is in a sign where it is extremely comfortable, like Aries or Scorpio or something like that, it's going to have very strong Martian energy. Now, since Mars is going into Cancer during the retrograde, that is an energy that is very soft and caring and watery and very feeling based. So Mars isn't as happy there. But when Mars is retrograde in the sky, basically all those things that I just mentioned, our fight, our motivation, our energy center, all of those things kind of go inward. They kind of move to a place of being on the back burner, in a more analytical place instead of in a embodiment phase where you are able to really feel that energy inside you. So that's why a lot of astrologers recommend not really starting new projects, not really doing anything that is going to be very labor intensive during Mars retrograde, because that energy is not at full potency. Also, I'm sure most of you guys know this, I'm definitely preaching to the choir here, but when you start a new project, that starting day actually has its own chart. And so that chart is going to describe how the project is going, how the project's personality is going to take shape over time. However, if you have Mars retrograde in your birth chart, you are going to have a very different experience. This is actually going to act like a complete opposite effect. So I personally have Mars retrograde in my birth chart, and I count days to Mars retrograde. I absolutely love it, because those are the times that I get a lot of things done. I'm able to get this like full impact of Mars energy because the retrograde matches my personal retrograde. During the last Mars retrograde, I published my book. I started writing a new book, just all this energy. I was so inspired and creative and all this stuff during it. So that is also a possibility that you might be experiencing. So these Mars retrograde dates for this round is going to be December 6th, 2024 to February 23, 2025. Now let's talk about shadow period for a second. I know I've discussed this in another one of my videos, but I can't for the life of me tell you which, so I'm just going to say it again. A shadow period is where Mars goes over the degrees that it's going to retrograde back over. So Mars is direct this whole time, but then it's going, I cut my pinky, sorry, that's why the Band-Aid. So it's going direct over those degrees, and then it's going to move backwards over those same degrees, station or stop, and then move direct again. So that period of time is going to be a lot longer, because those are actually times where Mars is direct. They don't technically count as part of the retrograde. So that period of time is actually October 5th, we already started it, all the way to May 2nd, 2025. And this is just going to be a block of time where the same degrees, the same messages are going to be experienced 3 times, because you're going direct, you're going retrograde back over it, and then you're going direct again. So that's 3 passes on these degrees. So I actually did an interview with my astrologer, the woman that I go to for readings. She's absolutely wonderful. I highly recommend getting a reading with her if you ever have a chance. And we talk about a ton of stuff having to do with Mars retrograde. It's a really fun interview. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. I'll probably be posting that later this week. So keep an eye out for that. This is just a really quick video to talk about Mars retrograde, just kind of the meat and potatoes, and then also to explain the worksheet. So the way you're going to find this worksheet is by going onto my website. I'll post the link below, but this is just how you do it. You go to Services, scroll down until you get to the Mars RX, which is an abbreviation for Mars retrograde, and then it says download here for free. You're going to click that, and then you will go ahead and download that free worksheet. So as you can see here, it's going to have the dates going all the way back to 2005 and that Mars retrograde during that time. It's going to also have the location of the retrograde, what degrees it was going over. Now this is going to be very important for you because you can see, were you having a Mars return during this time? Were you having a Mars square Mars during this time? What angle was it to your personal Mars? Was Mars crossing your moon over this retrograde? These are definitely going to be relevant, and so it's important to have your chart next to you as you're doing this worksheet so that you can really see what was going on during that time. Then I'm going to have the natal house. Now, it does not matter what house system you use for this. Because Mars is going to go retrograde in and out of signs during this time, even if you use whole sign, there are going to be some retrogrades where it stays in one house the entire time, and some retrogrades where it does cross over houses. So whatever you feel the most comfortable using, whatever house system you prefer, that's the one I encourage you to use. And then next to it, I just want you to jot down some life events that were going on during that time. Maybe some things that started during that time and then actually turned into bloom a few months later. Maybe relationships that ended during that time. Maybe projects that you reconsidered during that time. So go through and look at that. And, I know you're telling me, Tori, that was 19 years ago. How am I supposed to remember what was going on during that time? I have suggestions. Are you ready? I have suggestions. Number one, journals. I understand a very small percentage of the population actually journals and journals consistently, so who knows if you were actually journaling in 2005. I also have some young people on here, so you guys were like 7 and still learning how to read and write and stuff like that, so no worries there. So journaling, the first one. Second one, ask a significant other or a family member that was with you during that time. Other people are going to have different memories of different times, and so that also might be a helpful thing just to be like, what was I doing there during that time? And then your mom or your husband or whoever was with you during that time can kind of talk about what they remember from it. The next one is photos. So if you are synced up with the Apple Cloud, I don't even know what you call it. I think it's called the Apple Cloud. I have no idea. If you are synced up with that and it has photos during that time, you can go back and look. I also know Google has a photo bank. I don't even know what to say. That you can go back and look during that time and just see what was going on there. Another thing you can do is look back at social media. I know now Facebook and probably Instagram as well, although you might have to scroll for it. You can kind of go directly to those dates instead of actually having to scroll forever like you used to have to. Another thing to do is look at emails during that time. If you are like me and I rarely delete an email, you can literally just go back to that period of time and see what was going on there. And lastly, bank statements. If you are really an overachiever and you've had the same bank account for a long time, it is something that you can get information from. Oh yeah, I bought that ticket for that vacation during that period of time, or we were actually traveling during that time, or that's when we were getting ready for the baby, or whatever it is. So those are just some tips that you can kind of use to go back and see what was going on in your life during those periods of time. Now, as you can see here, I also have future Mars retrogrades. So when you get this sheet, you can actually use it for about 10 more years. And instead of having to look back and fill in blanks that you're having a hard time remembering, now you can actually fill them in as you go through each one of the Mars retrogrades up until year 3035. So the reason I made this free is because this is the type of thing that I know a lot of people are going to be doing on their own, and it's going to be a lot of pen to paper, it's going to be a lot of Googling, it's going to be extremely time consuming, so I just made it for you so that now you can go through and just do the remembering work and the figuring out where exactly the degrees were in your chart and what house that Mars retrograde was in. So I hope you guys use this, I hope it's helpful to you, and then stay tuned for that interview because it's a really good one with Anna Ridge. I hope you guys are well, and happy Halloween!